Hey, it's Erotic Walrus back at it again. Today I have prepared a beginner's guide for you all. Now, these tips are F2P friendly as well as benefit some, I would say, light spenders. After playing the game since release date, I have gathered enough info to say with confidence that these tips will enhance your gameplay. Now, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe because I plan to make a lot more in the future, so do stay tuned for that. Firstly, I hope you are watching this video before you have started the game, but if you have, it is okay. For Genshin Impact, I strongly advise you to reroll your account until you start with a 5-star. Yes, rerolling is an important part of future-proofing your experience in the game. Getting a 5-star makes it easy to target resources for a character that will be solid. As the game is very new, we do not know how power creeping will work in the game and how future content will scale, so it is wise to snag up a 5-star character and feel good about building them as a more permanent character on your roster. I know people have preferences for characters. Shout out to all the Ember fans out there, but I don't care
Bruh.
what you guys say. She's a bad character, and to be frank, you are wasting your precious resources by building her. Okay, second tip. Build one universal team. As mentioned previously, resources are incredibly valuable in this game. You do not want to build anyone except 4 main units that you will be using in almost all the content. That includes exploration, questing, domains, bosses, and Spiral Abyss. Most teams consist of one DPS. Most team consists of one main DPS, one healer, and one elemental support with one DPS support. We can go more in detail with this, but for now I will provide some basic teams that people, both pay-to-play players and free-to-play players, are using. So let's start with the free-to-play. As a main DPS currently, Fish is a great unit. She is not hard to obtain and easy to build. Xiangling is a free character you obtain in the current game and can serve as a main DPS as well. Razor, much like Fish, is a 4-star Electro user and serves well as the main DPS role. There's also other alternative like Beidou, Xingqiu, but I would say these 3 that I've just mentioned are the easiest to obtain. For healers, there's really only one option as a free-to-play, and that is Barbara. Love her or hate her, she actually fulfills this role nicely, and you can benefit greatly with her in your team. Now, for the 2 supports is where things get wild. First and foremost, you should have some elemental resonance in mind. You can access this by going into the party, setup, and clicking the elemental resonance in the top right. Take a look at the buffs each element can give you and adjust to your playstyle. Some great overall supports are Sucrose, Bennett, Qingqiu. However, depending on your main DPS, each may provide more value than the other, and I do not want to go in depth with this video because it'll take forever to cover all of this. So if you do want a separate video on the subject, please let me know in the comments below. For pay-to-play player and those who rerolled a 5-star unit to start the game, your options are more open, including the units I mentioned above. You also have Keqing, Diluc, Klee available as your main DPS. Unfortunately, if you are watching this after the Klee banner, chances are she will not be available anymore. But if you do have Keqing or Diluc, they're going to serve you very well as your main DPS, and you should pour most, if not all, of your available resources into them until they hit the cap. The order of priority for your resources should be your main DPS followed by your healer and then the support you use for elemental synergy and finally the final support. It is important to max out your main DPS first because that is the character who is out on the field for the majority of the time you are playing. Healer because many healers are scaled to either their damage, attack damage percentage, or their HP percentage. So as the content scales, so does the need for fatter heals. So healers need to be second in line, more attack or HP, depends on the character, equals more heals. The last 2 support can share your remaining resources and you can go from there. As the game goes on, I'm sure resources will become more abundant and allow you to branch out to other teams, but currently build for one team that does it all. On to the third tip. So the third tip I would say is the most important tip, and that is to slow your game progress. Now this may sound weird, but let me tell you, that this is probably the biggest tip in the video. Do not sleep on this, right? Really, really, I do mean it. Do not rush through the content because what awaits you is just endless grinding. And if you can even afford to grind, because if you are going to actually grind endgame, you're gonna get into pay to play territory unless you're just logging on and playing for I don't 30 minutes a day, right? That's really what you're looking at for endgame. Because if I can compare the start of Genshin to something, it would be like a fairy tale with each corner being a new adventure. It's amazing, right? It's euphoric and breathtaking. Now, the end game of Genshin is kind of like being strapped to a torture chair, being asked the same question you don't know the answer to, and every time you get it wrong, you get zapped, right? It's torturous. It's incredibly frustrating to play, and but you can't get out, right? You can't get out because the game is beautiful. It's amazing. You're stuck. Honestly, it really is that far apart. Endgame in Genshin currently is so demoralizing and punishing to play through that even Mega Whales, Leviathans, runs out of content to play. Really, just take the game slow, even if you can refill stamina, try to avoid it, play and explore, fall in love with the game over and over through the exploration part and through slowly building up and ramping up to endgame. And hopefully, content will get released faster than you can push through completely to endgame, which doesn't ever mean you'll never reach endgame. It's just by the time you reach endgame, there will be other available content for you to play in. So basically, summing up all of that is stay in the fairy tale, and I pray you never have to wake up from it. Fourth tip for beginners is to open every single chest you see. I mean, every single one of them. In Genshin Impact, it seems all chests have a chance to respawn, so the earlier you open them, the quicker they can go under CD. The exact way these chests respawn in this current time is unknown, but they do respawn, and as you climb in adventure rank, the experience that these boxes will provide becomes invaluable, so open all of them as early as possible. Fifth and final tip is to level up your artifact and weapons. Many would be scared to level up lower tier weapons such as a 3-star weapon and a 3-star artifact. However, fear not, EXP can be transferred from these gears, so once you find a better 4-star alternative, you can just feed your weapon into that new weapon and keep your current EXP. Currently in the game, we have the one-handed swords, the claymores, the bow, the spear, and the catalyst. And all characters utilize one of these weapons, so you might even find some characters that share the same weapon that you can give, so it can be a nice little handy-downs. Can be really helpful when you're building new characters as well. So, those were the 5 most important tips I think newer players should know, whether you have yet to start the game or just recently started. You should take the points to heart as they will benefit your Genshin experience, some without you even knowing it. Like the third tip, there are plenty of tips and guides online as well. You can find whatever you need. If you have suggestions or questions for me, please leave them in the comments below and I will answer each of them. If a comment gets enough likes, I will make a video for it within 24 hours, so please let me know. And this has been Erotic Walrus. I'll see you on the next one. Peace, peace.